Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Kyle Wright 425 podcast. I am your host, Kyle Wright. And if you guys are not following us on Spotify, we really encourage you to do that. That way you can always listen to what we're going to be talking about. And if you are not subscribed to us yet on YouTube, make sure you do that and you hit the notification bell. That way you know whenever we upload a new video.
We're funny.
So, yes, we have great content.
I'm looking at you, Hearies and Viewies.
Hearies and Viewies.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not YouTubies.
No. I think that may be copyrighted.
Huh?
Somebody had to have thought of that eventually. So YouTubies, you just take YouTube and add e's at the end of it. So like it's not necessarily e's, but just e's, the phrase. So
I'll just spell it a little different.
Yeah. So have you been swimming lately?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I wasn't like swimming, but I was in a
took a dip.
I took a dip. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
So, well, I mean, I'm just curious because have you ever been afraid of sharks? They're terrifying.
No.
They are just the teeth of the ocean. They are the nightmare fuel.
Did you say the teeth?
The teeth of the ocean. Yes.
That was funny.
Not the beaks from the squids. Squids will be another episode. However, tonight.
Are you afraid of squids?
I'm afraid of everything in the ocean.
Oh,
no, it's the only thing I really think I like about the ocean is seahorses. Like that's it. Because they're delicate, they're sweet.
What about shrimp?
Shrimp are only good for eating. Have you seen what a shrimp looks like? It looks terrifying.
I know what are you saying to me?
All the little mandibles and all the crazy shit that it has on its head and stuff, dude. Yeah, that's why you pluck them clean and you just got the meat of the body left.
Man, so what happened? Like I grew up with you. What happened to you as a kid?
Dude, I don't know. I think it really
like honestly, that's really interesting. And I'm not being like mean or funny about it, but like what the fuck is wrong with you?
I don't know. There probably is a mentality of like how they say flavors change or like your taste change over time.
It does.
I think that I kind of just woke up after a while and just realized how scary the ocean is. And just like the depth of the ocean.
Well, here's the thing is that's
like
fine.
What's in it.
That's fine. The ocean can be scary, but you're telling me non-violent things terrify you.
Well, no, what I'm saying is that it's just like shrimp, just like they're scary looking.
No,
they're scary looking.
Scary looking.
I don't want to be near one. Like I'm just
you'll
like
eat it.
Well, yeah, because it's dead. It's meat.
Oh man, come on. That's like saying, okay, would you eat spiders?
No, absolutely not.
Okay,
no,
so then
never.
Case closed. Don't talk to me about that again.
No. So sharks.
Yeah,
sharks to me are one of the most terrifying things on the planet.
Why?
And it's not because they're inherently dangerous to humans. It's because in the grand scheme of things, we aren't really that nutritious for them. Like it's like they don't really get anything from us. They mainly attack us whenever they think that we're a seal or like if we're bleeding or whatever.
Exactly. It's not because they hunt us out like that.
No. But
we're moving, flopping about with our legs down there. Yeah.
Dude, sharks have just always bothered me. It's because I've actually have opened up a geological book to a shark with its mouth open, like to the camera, like so, and have jumped and have winced and have had to close it before.
Really?
Because it's and what I think was that the first time it ever happened to me was at the dentist office when I was a kid. Because they had all those books and stuff that you could look at. That was kind of the first time that I realized like, whoa, like I had never really experienced that before. And it was like a really altering moment in my life when I realized I'm like, wait, I'm afraid of this? Because I had watched Jaws and like all those things and had never really thought about it. But it just, I don't know, it awoke a fear in me that I never felt before at that time. And just now, so like it kind of has gone with the idea of the depth of the ocean and like, the idea that it like makes you implode if you go like so deep and just like it's the pressure, all of that pushing on it. It's dark, it's cold, it's terrifying.
We're going to go that deep though.
Well, that's the thing, Eric, is that everybody thinks that they're not going to be near their fears. But my one time that I go out onto a boat in the ocean is when it's going to sink and my foot is going to get caught in one of the gears and I'm going to get dragged down into the bottom of the ocean with it.
If your foot gets caught in one of the gears, you're going to bleed out first and or get chewed up through it.
Oh no, what I meant was that the gears aren't moving. It just caught like my shoe or something, and I can't get loose. I was grasping
before
for
you
something,
even get to that depth of an ocean. If you're even hitting that, You
No.
ain't,
Oh,
you
God,
ain't,
see, no.
you're not holding your breath that long.
No, I can't do it. Oh, God,
You're gonna drown.
God, no. Oh. This is what this does, dude. It like physically cripples me. Like it is so terrifying.
Now what happened? Like
Nothing. Like it's
no.
like
I know what happened.
What?
I honestly do. I know what the fuck happened.
What happened?
I was there. Did your wife just laugh?
Oh yeah, she's on the phone. Yeah.
Oh, I thought she could hear us.
I mean,
Well,
she
can.
She could be laughing about us. It's possible, but yeah.
If you can hear us, text me if you're laughing at us. So, no, honestly, do you remember when we always talk about the cousins from Chicago?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was like a once a year thing they would come up and visit. Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember you were probably like 6 or 7?
Okay.
So maybe not. But do you remember when we got that cool hotel room?
The time I almost drowned.
Yes.
Holy hell. I almost forgot about that.
I was the one in the pool. It was me and you.
And I couldn't kick and I couldn't get myself back up.
You were slipping you were holding on like to the edge.
Wow.
And you had kept slipping. No, there was like 2 other people in the pool actually. And you kept saying thank you to the person. It was me behind you that picked you up.
Mm-hmm.
You were so panicked. And so well, it was.
I actually think I blocked it out of my memory for the most part.
No, I mean, and I understand, and that's why I didn't make a big deal about it. And I knew you were okay because you were breathing. You slipped, and you kept going under a couple of times, and I saw you. I was in the deep end of this pool, and I saw you. You were about.
It was the Holodome.
Yes.
Yeah, dude. That place was sweet.
It was.
It was cool. Yeah,
you almost died.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, that was the thing. Yeah, so.
And I remember it was me and cousin Steve.
Yes. Yep.
Cousin Steve was down there with me. He wasn't in the pool yet. I had just got in because Mom made me fucking go with you.
Right.
So you didn't die just like you almost did.
Well, good thing she said that.
Because where we were, I don't know if you remember, it was almost like a weird like balcony because they were all sitting at like this one gathering spot.
Get a little closer from me. You're a little too far away from your mic. There you go.
Don't tell me what to do.
I just did.
No, there was like this balcony and where like all the adults were like sitting.
Yeah.
And you could see the pool.
Right.
So almost everywhere in the hotel room where you could come out and there was gathering spot, you could see everything. So you didn't have to be with your children the entire time.
I remember
it was like an indoor amusement park almost.
Essentially, yeah, because I remember the chlorine in the water was brutal. Like we would just come out and like our eyes would just be like completely like soaked up with like red and everything.
It was just humid, but no. Yeah. So what I'm saying is that I was in the deep end. Steve was down there with us because Mom, like I said, made me go. And you were in around probably like the 5 to 6 foot area.
Yes. And I remember looking at it and thinking, Eric can stand in this. I can do this.
Right.
And it's because I remember you said at one point you had mentioned about like, well, dude, it's like, I'm exactly 6 feet. It covers my head if I stand, in the water. And I was like, well, I'm like, I kind of psyched myself out in a good way where I was like, well, if Eric can do this, because it's like all it is just the size of a human body. It's not that deep. It's like, it's right. I can do this. And
you
ultimately
start breaking it down like that.
Yeah. And it's, did I ever tell you how I taught myself how to swim?
See, I don't know. I don't think so. But that's what I was saying is I don't know that you like really knew how to swim yet.
I didn't. I was so hell bent to figure it out.
That's what happened was that's why you kept going under. And I was only about 10 feet away from you.
Right.
And I saw it happening. I gave you a second, not drowning, but like I gave you a second to like go out and do your thing, but you slipped and you kept going under.
Yeah.
So when I came up behind you, I basically just like pushed you like a foot or two. That way you could stand.
Yeah.
And all I remember was you looked behind and you were like, thank you. Like you were talking not to me.
Yeah, I didn't know who it was.
You didn't know who it was.
Yeah, and it's
I was just like, he's fine. I'm not going to make a big deal about it.
Right.
Nobody up there saw it.
Right.
You know,
I remember even saying it very quietly too, like because I don't even know if I thought about like, hey, I don't want to make a scene. It was just more so the idea of like I was just happy to be alive.
Yes, and then you strictly stayed.
Oh yeah,
in the shallow end, and I just remember thinking, man, that was a close one.
Well, because what's ironic is
I've thought about that hundreds of times in my life.
See, what's so interesting is that
from my point of view, because like that was a weird image for me. Well, even as like a 14-year-old.
You were 14 at that time.
I was probably 13 or 14.
Wow. It's because there's been times that I have thought about things from my childhood, or I've thought about, nostalgia and everything. And then like it hits me about how long ago it actually was. And I'm like, holy crap, like that was 20 years ago, or that was, like however long it's
Super
been.
Troopers is almost 20 years old. Figured that out today. Pisses me off.
Well,
so anyways, sharks,
yeah.
Dying, depths of water. But no, that's
blood.
What I'm saying.
Splashing.
I actually know that's crazy that I can almost guarantee that is
the start
of your fear of the ocean. And I mean, do you even really like to swim?
I do. I actually got my swimming merit badge and got my lifeguard merit badge when I was in Boy Scouts. Now, I'm not saying that's got reputation for me now, but what I will say was that I was so hell bent on following in Uncle Bill's footsteps was that everything to do with water, Uncle Bill got a merit badge in. And I remember, ironically, you know who actually was with me in my lifeguarding class that stuck it out with me, and he was actually the reason why I got through it, was Tim Burrows.
Really?
He that man,
really?
Trevor's dad. Him and he was determined to get his lifeguarding merit badge and his lifeguarding license. Actually, like I'm pretty sure like he wanted to go for the full thing. And what we had to do was on our very last day, we went into the pool. This was all at summer camp that we did this. Once again, swimming in pools, no problem. I still have that irrational fear of sharks.
Well, but there's like a bottom.
I can see what's below me, and the fact that there's nothing. And the ocean and the lake, I don't know that.
So you won't swim in lakes?
No. We've actually gone out on the boat before with Trish and Freddie, and I've been like, no, I'm like, I will stay on the boat. I will drink. I will soak up the sun. I'm like, I'm not getting in. I won't do it.
There's no sharks in there, right?
Bull sharks can go in fresh water.
Oh God, dude! What are they going to eat? A toe?
Probably. Yeah, they're huge.
Good. You've got 9 more.
No, but it just I remember specifically being fed up with not being able to swim with everybody else, and I went out by myself one time. While the family was at this beach. I can't even tell you where we were. We've never been there again. It was like somewhere at a state park somewhere. It was with Dad and Kim. It was when I was living with them. And I was off the beaten path. I was on my own, and I walked right into the water, and I said, I'm not leaving this water until I can fucking swim. I'm like, I'm tired of this. I'm like, I taught myself how to swim.
So you were probably what?
10?
Yeah,
10 or 11.
Yeah, around that.
Now, this was kind of the perfect place for me to learn how to do that, because they actually had that fence like that they put into the water that you couldn't go out too deep into the lake. Like it was like you could go into a deep part, but it was a controlled lake. I was okay with that. So what I did was that I walked until I got up to about my chest, and I went, okay, what I'm going to do is I know for a fact if I put my feet down, I am touching the ground.
Yep.
I'm treading water right here, and I'm going to keep myself afloat right here. I had about maybe 6 inches of a bit of depth
before you were like underwater.
And I knew that I was okay. So I started just kicking my feet in different ways. I was trying lefts. I was trying right. I was trying, all this. And then I figured out the paddling motion. And I was like, is this all it takes?
Yeah.
And I went, okay, but I'm still like, at that point, the water was still like on my jawline, and I was kind of looking up, and I couldn't get myself up. And I went, I've got arms.
Oh, you weren't even using your arms.
No, I was focusing on each thing individually.
That makes a huge difference.
Oh,
man.
no, for sure. And no, but from that day forward, I could swim. I taught myself how to swim. I'm tired of not figuring out. So
now back to my original question here. Then I think is that are sharks the reason you don't like not being able to see?
I don't like being able to see because of sharks, but I also don't like being especially the ocean. I will never go out in the middle of the ocean ever. It's like that is.
Wait. Like to swim?
Yeah, to swim. Like it's like, if somebody was like, hey, we're gonna drop the anchor and we're gonna do this or whatever. It's like there's sometimes some people will do that. It's like they can have pontoon boats and stuff that got a center missing or something that you can wade in or whatever. But
when an anchor, when you anchor something, that means it hits.
It does, but it still has a long way to go.
But they only make them so long.
They do. That's still too deep. So, immediately what I react. This is me directly quoting Kevin James, but I promise you it's exactly the same. I found out that I react the same way when my foot touches a piece of seaweed.
Yeah.
That a great white shark is about to devour half my body. I freak out. It is especially that weird sludge monkey. That's what they used to call it. Dude, I hate that stuff. It's like that algae black shit that just the ocean is terrifying. You have no idea what's below you. There has been huge ass squids that have been found that have actually been found out to be babies, that they are not fully grown. And you're telling me that you want to go, not you, but in general, it's like you're telling me you just want to go out there and just swim away out in the middle of the ocean. No, not happening.
I don't know that I would swim out in the middle of an ocean like that.
No, or even being out on a boat, like I might be able to do a cruise, and that's a big might.
See, I mean
to me.
When you're on a beach, I'll swim in an ocean on a beach.
Yeah, no, I won't do it.
What?
I won't do it. No, it's because I can't see what's below me. I can't see what's near me.
You're only going out like you did in that lake that's cut off. You're not swimming 40 miles.
No. I will stay. Like Christy and I have talked about it, that if we were to ever go somewhere where that had a beach near the ocean, I'll totally chill out on the beach. I'll go into the shallow parts of the water or whatever, but I will not go anything that's probably above my waist. I will not do it.
Whoa, why?
I will not do it.
Nothing's gonna be out there to get you that close to the
no, this is where my paranoia comes in, because there have been shark attacks and other things that happens in shallow water. People think that they're safe. They think that they can just be, loosey-goosey, but
so let's get to these sharks. Let's get to these sharks, man.
So when it comes to sharks, I wanted to just talk about some things, because there's a lot of things that comes to that when it comes to sharks that people actually don't know. And I thought some of these facts were bullshit when I heard them in movies. And then when you hear about it, you're like, whoa, that's actually a legit thing. Okay. Right. So our intro to this is from bustle.com. Once again, this will be linked in the description. This is 18 scary shark statistics to scare your friends with during Shark Week. That's where it starts off. It says, here are the best things about summer, ranked from least to greatest: cookouts, tanning, and Discovery Channel's Shark Week. The network's annual celebration of the Great Sea Beast is one of the most fun and, I suppose, most informative events of the summer. And it's here once again to delight the sharkophiles everywhere. If you're obsessively watching Shark Week, take a quick break to check out these awesome shark facts and learn a little more about the fish at the top of the ocean food chain. Of course, it's very important to remember that movies like Jaws and The Shallows don't necessarily portray sharks in the right light. It's fun to give them a bad rap in Hollywood, but separating the fictional sharks you see from the real thing is critical for their survival. For the most part, sharks don't pose a danger to humans and kind of just want to be left alone.
Right.
People are sharks' number one threat, and 20 to 30% of all sharks are of all shark species are endangered due to overfishing or habitat destruction. Everyone has to remember to be respectful of their environment as possible, because they're an essential part of the world's biodiversity. These facts can help you understand more about these fascinating creatures and why they need to be protected, even if they can be pretty scary. So, number one. This is the fact I was talking about that I was like, well, this is legit. Okay. Sharks have been in the ocean for about 400 million years, making them some of the oldest species on Earth. They survived 5 mass extinction events, including the one that killed the dinosaurs. Basically, they're invincible. Isn't that crazy? It's like they are one of the oldest creatures on the entirety of existence of the planet.
How old are they?
400 million years old.
Okay.
So no, it's what I'm saying is that it's like from an evolutionary standpoint is that if you're going to take that as fact, is that you think about how the world was formed. And it's the idea of that it was ocean. It was, it's this idea of like the primordial soup, or like however you want to look at that,
That's probably the reason I don't want to say guarantee you, but like that's probably why they did survive, because of the fact that they were in the ocean.
Yeah. Well, now you also have to think about the fact that there's, if you're going to go with the idea of the asteroid, that there is still kind of like that nuclear fallout that would happen, throughout the entirety of the world. So, because like they've said before that if, for instance, if an asteroid were to hit, the center of, I don't know, like America, the cloud of that would basically, it would cover the entire Earth in darkness and would basically almost cause another ice age in a sense. It would block out the sun. So with that being said, take that into account. Sharks still survived. They still were, even in frigid temperatures and everything like that. Like it's mind blowing to think about, and they probably didn't even think anything of it.
No, they didn't. They kept reproducing, obviously, along with other sea life. But
yeah,
I'm interested to see the rest of hear the rest of these facts, because that first one is really interesting when you think about it. I guess I could see how they could be one of the oldest things from the planet, from like the original times. But at the same time, then I wonder if that has anything to do with how and why there's so many different styles of sharks then, and why great whites are like the biggest one to fear, which always tripped me out. Like, why is it always just great whites that are like the biggest? Maybe we'll find out.
Well, I mean, from what I understand, great whites, they're just big. They're not necessarily a threat. Now they're scary looking. Like I've never looked at a shark and thought, oh, he's cute. It's like, they're
really?
Like, no, it's like that. I look at them and it's like,
I like hammerhead sharks.
Well, it is funny that you say that, my brother, because number 2,
like I like them.
Most sharks hunt on their own, but the scalloped hammerhead shark does its annual summer migration in schools. Imagine that. A school of hammerhead sharks just going throughout the water, and they're, picking up fish whenever they can or whatever. Now imagine you jumped into the water and then you saw a school of hammerhead sharks coming your way. Because from what I understand, I think it's hammerhead and tiger sharks are inherently like they're aggressive. Like they're like.
I always thought that the hammerhead sharks were like real tame.
Oh, I mean, I
don't know. I don't know. Like one of those, like even though it's a school of them, like if you're gonna jump in, you're gonna scare the shit out of them.
Yeah.
Because like you stated that they're more afraid of us technically, like spiders.
Yeah.
What they say.
Well, and that's the thing too, is that it's like, I mean, even spiders can be docile, but in the same hand, like sharks are inherently predators. That's just where they are in the food chain. Like they are made, like I said, they're made of teeth. They have like, they are specifically designed to, well, not to be like Doom, but to rip and tear their food.
Yeah.
It's like, that's just how they eat.
Yeah, exactly. They're aggressive. I know that they say that their teeth kind of move like saw blades, like almost side to side.
There are multiple rows of teeth.
Yeah.
And basically what it is that they lose teeth constantly, but they constantly also regrow them. So like that's kind of crazy to think about that.
It is weird.
But number 3, the largest shark is the whale shark, which can grow to over 60 feet long. 60 feet. Think about that.
That's crazy.
So basically 10 of us lined up.
Yep.
And so now, from what I understand, whale sharks are actually herbivores. They're not carnivores. Now they will eat shrimp and plankton and different other stuff like that. But plankton's a plant. But still, there's actually tons of videos and pictures of people that actually will swim with whale sharks. Like they enjoy like human,
I don't know that I've
interaction.
ever seen one.
Yeah, whale sharks are huge, dude. Like
I'm sure
they're crazy. It's one of those things that your first inherent thought when you see them is that you're going to be like, whoa, this thing's scary. But like literally they swim and just chill. Like their mouths are open pretty much 24/7. And they basically just swim through all the schools of like shrimp and stuff. So it's kind of like a peaceful like way they go about it. They're not aggressive. Like now I'm sure that there are whale sharks that have been aggressive before. Obviously, if you piss one off or whatever, it's going to,
poke in the eye a few times, see what happens.
Right. Number 4. Some sharks eat their siblings in the womb if they need extra nutrients.
Say that again.
Certain sharks will eat their siblings in the womb if they need extra nutrients.
Whoa.
They just don't care. Just like they're like the honey badger. They're just like, hey man, I need this.
Yeah, no shit.
Holy hell. Number 5. Great white sharks eat 11 tons of food every year.
11 tons?
11 tons.
Per?
That's the thing. I don't know if it's per or if it's collectively, like per capita, if you can even say that about it.
Let's just say it's all of them.
That's a lot of food.
It's a lot of food. And you could argue the fact that there is a lot of great white sharks, but 11 tons?
Yeah. That's however many cars.
Man, like, well, yeah. But what I'm just saying, like sheer volume, like I know that like, as well as space, like the ocean is in a sense infinite. Like there is a lot going on.
What was it? They said that I think we've only discovered 10% of our ocean. I think it's like the idea of
I thought that was space.
Is it?
I thought it was 10% of space.
Well, I mean, that's definitely true. Where it was, what does Billy Bob Thornton say in Armageddon when they're like, we didn't see this coming? And he's like, well,
we only have enough money. Like he said, I think was
funding to see about 2% of our sky. And frankly, sir, it's a big ass sky. So,
right.
yeah, so
exactly. Now, when you think of it like that, okay, again, let's just say sharks in general or great whites in general eat that much. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying like, oh, poor us, but like think about how much less food that we're catching for seafood and fish and all this because how much they're eating, like, and how much we still get. There is a shitload
of animals.
Yeah.
Or fish rather.
Yes. Yeah.
It's dude, because that's the thing too, is that there is so much of the ocean, especially the Pacific Ocean. Whereas, because like, is it the Pacific Ocean that's the biggest one? It's the one that wraps around the Earth. It's been a while since I've studied geography.
I don't fucking know.
So yeah,
I'm one of those people. Like I graduated. I swear, I don't fucking remember. You know what I do? I go to work and I don't use any of the. I'm not even gonna get into this.
No, that high school is gonna be a whole other episode, but it's gonna be a different version of high school because we already did an episode on high school, which you can find on Spotify if you've not been.
You're never gonna have a calculator on you all the time, bitch.
Oh yeah, well you know what, Miss Shanklin, I got it right here.
Yeah,
so.
I'm using it to record my fucking YouTube. Sorry, I just
That's you need to reel it back in, bro.
Yeah.
Okay, number 6. Sharks don't see blood; they sense it.
Yeah, they smell it.
Sharks are super sensitive to electricity changes in the water, and blood changes the conductivity.
Basically, of the iron.
Yes. Basically, sharks get an alert in their senses and race toward that scent.
Wow.
So, and I think I read somewhere that they can smell a drop of blood from a mile away.
I thought it was further than that.
To me, a mile always seemed like that was a great feat. So I don't know. Like, yeah. So
I know, but I swear it was something ridiculous, like 10 miles. Now, I could be wrong. I just know you're right. Even a mile is long.
It's the fact that now think about this. Blood causes that much of a disruption in basically the water that it's just the idea of that they don't even have to be. It'd be like being able to smell a pizza from a mile away and going, pepperoni?
I gotta go get it. Yeah.
So, that's just, it's nuts.
So quick question.
Yeah.
Between you have some pretty substantial fears.
Yes. Yeah.
When it comes to you can't deal with space at all.
I actually tried. I didn't tell you this. I tried to watch the full tour of the ISS, International Space Station. And they have a certain spot in there that is basically, it's almost like a dome underneath of the space station that you can go into and you can actually see the Earth. And he said, he's like, this is actually a very, very relaxing spot to go to. He's like, whenever we need to unwind, he's like, or if we need to see what's happening, you know, or if we have a satellite, or if there's any reason that we need to see outside.
Yeah.
He's like, we don't have windows all throughout the entire space station.
You're
so
kind of right.
So, cause that would be completely counterproductive. So,
oh fuck.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you sneezed too hard, the nail flew. I don't know why a nail was in his nose, but, basically, they're in zero gravity the whole time they were filming this, and they posted it to YouTube, and they literally did all this from the space station. It was wild. And, he went down and he's like, this is our, there's a fuzzy. It's not coming off. All right. All right. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'm not going to touch it. All right. There's this fuzzy on the pop filter. It was driving me nuts. Now, he went down into the little dome area, and he's like, if you want to bring the camera down, he's like, this is what we see every day. He's like, this is where you can see the Earth. He's like, it's really just something else, man. He's like, it's really cool to be up here and to, you know, have this view whenever we want it. He's like, it's really wild. I only watched it for about 2 seconds and I had to look away.
Man,
it's
really?
I want to enjoy it.
What if I've talked about it before, got the PS4 VR and got like space and like had you like look around and like yeah.
Let me answer that question with a story.
Oh.
That's going to happen after the break.
Yeah, I figured.
So, we're about to break for sponsor time. So,
and we're going to fly through these last like 14.
Oh, we're going to be fine. They're not very long. So, I'm okay with it. You know why? Because sharks are cool, but they're also quick to talk about. They're simple. They swim and eat shit. Like, it's not like it's that hard a thing. It's like, oh, well, we can talk about like the reproductive cycle and stuff. No, dude, sharks are terrifying, and we're going to talk about why.
I'm almost out of Pepsi anyways. So,
yeah, I mean, me too. I got
all right, sharks.
All right, sharks.
Break time. Peace.
After this. And we are back. Cough. Now, I haven't gotten to use the sound effects in a while, so horse shit.
We need to go through and like we need to do some things with that.
Yeah, honestly. The issue I've had is that so for anybody listening and watching, we have the Rodecaster Pro, which was the best purchase for this podcast, and there's a bunch of sound effects we can make on here. Now, the only problem is I don't have the original USB cord. So we can't program these the way we want to in the computer, but we're going to navigate that eventually. So we're going to be able to
Why don't you have it?
I don't know. I think I lost it just from the day that I did it. I was so excited just to be able to set it up that I was like, I'll find it later. And now it's just gone. So, but you can get replacements.
It's got to be in there. Wait. So you have to have that to do anything like that?
Yeah, it's because it works like a hard drive and stuff. You have to plug it into the computer, but I'm not going to bog you down with all that facts now. So there's a process to it, but I believe that the last thing that I said that I was going to talk about was, what was it? It left me.
Well, I don't know what it was actually because I actually didn't remember to write it down because I normally try to like.
I mean, that was on me too, so I didn't remember. So,
right. But you said we were on number 7.
We are. So, well, hey, I apologize. I forgot what I was talking about. It's been about 30 minutes for us. So,
actually a little longer, but yes. Longer. Now, here's the thing is that I don't know if we weren't really like on like a question. So like, or not question, but like a fact. So you just saying number 7.
Yeah. So
that's just.
So regardless, we are here. We're here to talk about sharks,
and we're here to talk about sharks.
That's right.
This is number 7.
Number 7, moving right along. It's gonna bother me. I knew I should have written that down. Written that down.
Rodent.
Rodent.
Man, you know what's cool? I love that we make up words on here.
Rodent. Roads.
Rudes.
Rest in peace, Chris Farley. Now,
oh man,
number 7. The sensitivity comes from small nodules in their noses called the ampullae of Lorenzini. The nodules sense electricity, even pulses as faint as the charges that power a beating heart.
Huh.
So it's what I'm finding is that sharks have this ability to sense the electronic pulses that happen in bodies, which is crazy that it's like that. It really has like that. They have like a sensory thing that they use, and it's like how they pick up where everything is, which is crazy that it's like they're not even really using their sight. It's that idea of like that radar of like that ping kind of thing where it's like, ooh, food. And like that's how they take it.
And like you said, they're a predator. Like they're one of the highest on the food chain in the sea.
Number 8 is just, it talks about bull sharks, the fact that they're in freshwater, which we talked about that.
Okay.
But it says that they've been seen thousands of miles inland. So that's one of the reasons why I don't trust lakes, because it's like, dude, it's like the bull sharks can live in fresh water.
Yeah, but man, you gotta venture out. You gotta venture out a little bit. Like waist high. I'm just saying, like you can go out and kick it for a minute.
Well, no, here's the thing. I have done that before.
Okay.
I've been. So for instance, when I'm trying to think of where.
Like, would you just go out in the middle of Lake Erie and jump in?
No.
Why? There's no sharks.
It's again, Lake Erie is huge.
Yeah, but there ain't nothing out there to be afraid of.
You don't know that. You haven't.
No,
you haven't scoured the entirety of the.
No, come on.
This is like someone saying that you can't say that God isn't real because you haven't searched the entire universe. I'm gonna use that same argument and that mentality for you haven't looked at every single square inch of Lake Erie, so you don't know. You don't know.
But I do kind of. Like, I don't know.
Have you been in a sub?
No, but.
Have you used Fish Finder to see if there's anything below you?
I'm just saying, like, so you really only swim in pools, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Either that or even small ponds, and that's even pushing it because what if there's something local? So, but with that being said, I believe I saw something about Loch Ness later in here. So, yep, we're gonna get to that.
Okay.
So number 9. Most sharks are pretty fast swimmers and can travel hundreds of miles in a day.
Pretty fast swimmers? I'm going to go out on a limb. They're all fucking fast.
Now, okay,
all of them.
Now, okay, real quick.
Even the slow one is fast.
Well, because, I mean,
it'll beat me in a swimming match every time.
Now, do you remember the plot to Jaws: The Revenge?
I don't know. An angry shark eats somebody, eats a boat explodes. Something else happens. A shark gets pissed, and it's not really the mom shark. It's this one's the mom. So probably, maybe.
Okay.
Am I even close?
I mean, it's been. You've got events right, but so Jaws: The Revenge is known as one of the worst movies that's ever been created. Now, I want you to listen to the original plot line of what they wanted to do with Jaws: The Revenge. And I believe it was from a book that somebody wrote as a continuation of the series. It was not from the original author, from what I understand. If it is, then it's still like, okay, so he kind of went more of like a supernatural kind of route with it. What it was that there was somebody that had an angle against the Brody family, understood their fear of sharks, and with like living, in New York with like everything that had happened with the events of the first 2 Jaws. So what it was that bro, hey, you're shaking the camera, bro.
Yeah,
bro, hey, bro.
Go.
He's moving it. The GoPro's like just doing its little wiggle. We're fine now, but no. So essentially, what the plot was that he went to I believe it was a voodoo witch doctor, and asked how he could exact his revenge, and he said basically, well, why don't we send after him what he fears? What if we send after his entire family what he fears?
Oh, Jesus.
And it was the idea of this is the original plot line, was that a voodoo doctor basically either summoned and or had the ability to basically make a ginormous great white shark that was in, I guess, like maybe the lineage or whatever of like the whole like Bruce the Shark from the original, like, Jaws. And basically it was unrelenting on the entire Brody family. And it would do like, it would go until there was like a big climactic ending, like where they would take it out. That was the original story and plot line for Jaws: The Revenge. They took out the entire witch doctor thing and the final script and just made it that this shark had a grudge.
Is that the one that had the cheap, like like a stick figure, damn near. Like
it was one. Yeah. Well, Chris Stuckman, he's going to get a shout out on this. If you guys are not subscribed to Chris Stuckman on YouTube, you've got to do it. If you love like movie critics and everything, he is a very, very fair movie critic.
Could we do like we should do, sorry, this is kind of off topic, but
go ahead.
We should do like our favorite YouTubers one night.
If I can have a moment on this podcast in that episode to talk about Lieutenant Lick Me, I will love that.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, he has been posting stuff on Twitter, and he has a new Watchers episode coming out, and he said that Watcher is now going to be the Psycho.
So
he's like it's never been done before. So if you've never listened or watched Lieutenant Lick Me, make sure if you don't know what I'm talking about, check him out. It's LTLICKME. It's Lieutenant Lick Me.
Oh man,
his stuff is crazy. His stuff is crazy. It's a trolling channel that he does. With it started off kind of like as fun. And then like it's completely moved into the opposite direction. Like he actually goes
like a cult following.
Dude, you've not watched the episode that I talked about, which I don't blame you because it's not easy to get through. That is, he goes after a child groomer, and it's 59 minutes long, and he puts him through absolute hell. Lieutenant Lick Me is the type of guy that he has a team working with him. Assuming if you're going to think it's all real. Is that he will capture audio of you saying a poem that he's like a poem to read. He'll just be like in the Watcher character. He's just like, read it. Just read it. That's all you got to do is just read it. Read it and you'll pass the test. While he's reading it, he has somebody recording that audio and then splicing every syllable together to do exactly what he wanted or to what he wants to say. And what he does is that he mutes the audio on the Keith's end, who is the groomer that's being tortured. Which you don't feel bad for him the entire time. You're like, but until like the very end where you're like, my God, all right, I get it. Like, dude, just stop. Like he's already like having like a panic attack, like for what he's doing or with what's happening. And he basically cut the audio and replayed it supposedly to his girlfriend asking for things from his daughter.
Oh.
Like, because it was this idea of like, so it's like, it's okay for you to do, but it's not okay for like, but it's for other people, but it's like, this is now being done to your daughter in your voice. That's the stuff Lieutenant Lick Me does. Like he exacts revenge on people. Like he actually will look for, like, again, if it's all real, he is literally doing God's work. Like he is like doing fantastic. So anyway, that was a little tangent, but anyway, so
it is, but no, I was just saying,
favorite YouTubers.
We'll have to do that one night.
Yeah. So I went on every time I got a chance to talk about Lieutenant, I always go off. So I apologize. I went off.
Oh, no.
So
I do it all the time.
Number 10. Shark attacks occur prominently in California because the U.S. government has placed lots of protection on sea lions, seals, and sea otters. Sharks are hunting their natural prey, and humans who get caught in the middle are targeted sometimes as well. So again, they're not inherently going after humans.
No, they're not.
So
that's what's interesting is that people always try to like say that sharks are like they target people, and they really don't. From what if half of the things I know, and that's not very much of like shark facts. I mean, and you're kind of doing it tonight, but if I remember correctly, and half of the stuff is real, like they're really not. Like you said, they think we're something else.
Actually, if I remember correctly, do you know the number one or like the biggest people that get attacked by sharks?
Women on their period.
There is that. Now, if you're not plugging yourself, then yes, like you will have that issue.
I thought it like kind of didn't matter.
Well, I mean, either way, but yeah, that gets to a different thing. But no, it's actually surfers, because when there's paddling in the water, all they see are the limbs in the shape of the surfboard, so they think, oh, seal.
Yep.
And then they come up and which is terrifying. Like when a shark breaches water. Like when you see those great whites that come out of the water, like they're like almost kind of showing off, or like they're going after prey and they miss, and there's that like it's cool looking. It's awesome, like for like movies and artistically it looks really awesome. But imagine just minding your own business, being on a surfboard, and then out of nowhere, a shark just comes up and just takes you out. That is terrifying.
See, to me, I think that's where maybe we differ is like, I feel like if you're going to be attacked like a shark like that, it's going to be pretty quick.
I mean, it depends. I mean, there's no way you're going to have enough time to. Sorry, that's giving me like anxiety even thinking about it. I'm like, oh my God.
Well, but I mean, like to really
I'm back. I'm good.
To really understand what's happening. And even at that, you're going to panic and then breathe in on accident and drown almost immediately, probably.
Yeah. And it's
so like
the whole idea is just terrifying.
Okay.
But
more sharks.
More facts. Yes. Number 12. Number 11. That was what we left off on. The frilled shark, Frilled.
Okay.
The frilled shark is also known as the modern Loch Ness monster due to its circular mouth and 300 sharp teeth. But it doesn't hang out in Scotland. Its territory is mostly in the Pacific Ocean. So like think about that. There's even like that's just a species of shark that we have found where it's like what if there's more? Like because there's so many species we still haven't discovered yet in the vastness that is the ocean because it's not something that we can control or properly figure out. Like people understand or scientists understand like how currents work. They understand like how like there's a true design, if you will. What's that?
Is that there's no like answer to everything in the ocean?
Yeah, and it's okay. So, for instance, TJ and I were talking the other day, and we were talking about cosmic horror, much like H.P. Lovecraft. When like him writing like Cthulhu, like that, the tentacle, looking ginormous thing that like we're like this big too.
Yeah.
What we were talking about was actually the movie that I'm trying to make or write up, which is The Middle, which we're probably going to do a podcast on that eventually, like talking about just like how I formed the idea and like what I want to do with it and how I want to turn it into a film. And, but essentially we were trying to articulate the way that I was, describing what these characters are going through because it's a very heavy story of like eternity and like the idea of like, what does that mean? And like all that stuff. And what he said was that he was like, you have a very cosmic horror story. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, well, think about this. He's like, you think of like Cthulhu, of the idea that if you were to stand before Cthulhu, this ancient, huge, godlike, demonic monster, you would literally go crazy looking at it because your brain cannot comprehend how vast, huge, and terrifying that this being is. I think that like for me, I'm not saying this is not unanimous for everybody, but what I'm saying is that for me, that's how I look at the ocean. Is I never understood why in Metal Gear Solid 2, when you had a mission to carry somebody on your back swimming through this flooded portion of this building, that they feared water so much. They're like, I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't hold my breath. That endless blue. I can't do it. And basically it was a mission where you had to have a woman on your back and swim through. I don't know if you probably remember that.
I do.
That never really rang true with me until like very recently. And I really started to think about it. I'm like, yeah, like it's that vast, unending, just blue. You have no idea what is there. You have no idea how long that thing has been there or if there's multiple things.
But like, what would you do if, what would you do if you were on a boat and something tragic happened? I don't even know, just in general. And you were almost kind of in a like a Titanic moment. What would you do? Would you just give up?
There's this. Okay, so I don't think I would give up. Like, number one, I would do everything I could to not be in a situation like that, because like when I think about like if I'm trying to, I don't know, something as stupid as like opening up a cabinet that's full of china and then one thing slips and then the whole like shelf starts to come down if I'm closing it. Now, where I'm at in this situation is that I think to myself, I'm like, if I let go, this whole shelf is coming down, everything out of here. And then I'll have that split moment of like, how the fuck did I get here? how did I put myself in this situation?
Yeah.
That's how I always look at it. Like when we talked about, like Strom's death in like Saw 5, or we talk about like, the like horrible moments in movies that we've seen. Like I think about things like that where I'm like, how did this person get to this horrible moment?
Yeah.
And on the other hand, you look at it in the same way as like Endgame. Endgame starts off with, a very, very simple story where it's just all the heroes coming back together and they're just living on a world. Like it's kind of hard to explain, but it's this idea of that we go from post-snap world of all of our heroes just hanging out, and then at the very end, it's like we have the biggest climactic battle that has ever taken place in the MCU. It's like I love that. I love thinking like that. And when it comes to something like the ocean, to answer your question, I would do everything I can to try to avoid that altogether, period. Well, but if I was in that situation,
I would say just on the off chance that, like you said, a cruise and then it just fucking wrecked.
I'm very, very good that in big turmoil moments of my life, like for instance, I have said this about, say, God forbid that someone like our younger brother or like, someone that's like, that's very close to us passes away. Mm-hmm. I would be the best person to call everybody and tell them that news, because like what I'm able to do is just to be able to take things for what they are in that moment and be like, we need to take care of this. Mm-hmm. We need to get out, or I need to say that. And it's not until after the fact, like for instance, in that example, that when I'm sitting by myself after it hits me and I'm like, my brother's gone.
Yeah.
That's very much how I work. It's so in that moment, I would immediately go into problem solving mode of just like, okay, this ship is sinking. We don't have time to panic. I'm like, you need to be grabbing life preservers. You got to be doing this. We need to do this. I'm like, this is about to suck more than anything that we've ever done.
No,
we need to make it not suck.
No. I meant, okay, no, that's actually good. That's a good other end that I was talking about. I meant everything's done. Ship is gone. Shit's destroyed.
Oh, I'm floating in the ocean.
You're floating in the ocean. What would you do? So would you
Boy Scout roots?
Would you give up?
No. In that moment is that okay? That's
what I truly meant. But your actual response first of what you thought. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Because
move your mic closer too. It's getting away from you.
Just the second time. Don't tell me what to do.
I'll do whatever I want. No, I'm a big girl now. I can do what I want.
That's interesting that you go into that like survival mode though with everybody else. So, but now, yes, what I meant is like you're in the middle of the ocean now. Everything's destroyed. You might have.
I've got driftwood or a thing I'm holding onto.
Yeah, something. And you're just kind of either floating on it or helping you float. What would you do?
What I would do is, as crazy as this sounds, is you look for the North Star.
Yeah.
You look for the North Star and you think to yourself, you do the best that you can to geographically locate yourself. Now, assuming the water is calm, because obviously you can run into a storm, you could run into, a tidal wave, you could run into all that stuff.
Imagine.
This is what's terrifying about Mother Nature is that when you look at a movie like The Day After Tomorrow, that is a very, very different protagonist to have in a film or in a story or just in general, or movies like Into the Storm or like, all that stuff. When it comes to somebody like Negan in The Walking Dead, Negan is a human being. Rick was still able to deflect him for a second and have a human moment with him, and just that moment when he looked at him and said, Carl said that doesn't have to be a fight anymore.
Yeah.
And Negan actually stopped and just and realized he's like, why am I fighting?
Yep.
Why am I doing this? You can't do that with Mother Nature. You cannot reason with it. You cannot reason with with sharks. You cannot tell a shark, stop, this hurts.
Yeah.
Stop it. It does not give a shit. It does not care about you. It does not. It is there to do what it is supposed to do, and that's what it's going to do.
Well, it knows nothing else.
Exactly.
And I guess that was my thing, is that if you just, I mean, so you wouldn't give up. You would try to at least make something.
Actually, and then this is actually a good tip for, I don't know why anybody would be listening this far that would be stuck in the ocean that like would ever use this or utilize it. But one of my scoutmasters actually told us what to do in that situation. And it was more so for like lakes or whatever, or if we were having issues in the water, is that he said, what you need to do is elementary backstroke. And because what he said was that he said it is the least tiring way to swim. If you're on your back and you essentially do like, it's, what is it? The frog, the cross, and then the airplane, or no, the torpedo. No, it's the cross, or sorry, the frog, the airplane, and then the torpedo. It's that idea that you're doing that motion and it propels you super fast. It kind of has the same idea of like, I mean, the propelling speed of like a shark, where it's like that, like moment that you have where it's like you're better off doing those big strokes.
See in front of you.
You can, but no, it's what it is that you're going backwards. You're on your back and you're pushing yourself. And it's the idea of that if you can locate where land is, like my scoutmaster Ken, if he ever listens to this, Ken's awesome. He was the guy who taught me everything. Him and John both. He was like, oh, he's like, you can, he's like, or he said you can, but also he was saying himself, he's like, I can elementary backstroke for miles. He's like, it is a very, very genius way to swim. So if I was in that situation, that's what I would do. Because that's what a lot of people that have been shipwrecked have done. To like, they're like, all right, it's time to elementary backstroke, dude. We gotta get out of this. That's it. So, or if like, for instance, if it was like you and I, we would just do what Brody and Hooper did in Jaws, is that they grabbed onto whatever it was and they both started kicking and propelling each other. Yeah. And they got back to land. That's how I would practically do it. Now, I would probably start freaking out if I started to see land and I was super close. It's that idea of that. It's like, yeah, it's right there. It's right there. Keep pushing. Are you going to make it? Like that's so, that's I guess that's what I would do.
Would sharks and things like that be something you were terrified of, and then like,
it would be crippling for a minute. I'm
saying is that do you think that would be a crippling enough fear of sharks and the deep ocean to where you wouldn't be able to do anything and then just die?
I mean, probably. I mean, that is a possibility, but in the same hand is that there's this kind of Gerald's Game moment that I would have with myself. And if people that have not seen Gerald's Game, it's essentially about a woman that was trying to be kinky with her husband, and she got handcuffed to the bed, and he ends up having a heart attack and dies, and she's trapped.
She's stuck. Yeah.
Now, what I loved about the film version of that was that she actually imagined herself talking to herself. It was a very, very artistic way of doing it. And like even her dead husband shows up in her memory too. And he's like, look, he's like, you have to understand. He's like, you've only got one way out of this. And it was the idea of her like essentially like figuring out a way to slide her hands out of the cuffs. And it was a very gruesome way of how she did it. I'm not going to get into it, but there was a moment that she almost gave up, and it's like the way that they depicted it was like with the handcuffs on her, she fell asleep and she's losing circulation. She's got like this blackness that's showing up in her arms. Like she's literally at the point that she can't wait anymore. She has to get out.
You're right.
And she almost gives up, but she kind of has this pep talk with herself. She's like, listen, she's like, if you give up now, you will die.
Yeah.
You cannot give up.
So now it's
and that's kind of the, I've had moments like that, like when I've almost gotten hit by somebody that can pull us out, where I'm like, this is it. You know, like if you like, you've had those moments where you're like, this is it, and then you get out of it, and it's kind of like how Gabriel Iglesias says it, like when you like value life more when you almost get hit by a bus and you're all, good, like, you know, you're just like, okay, this is better. You know, it's like you get that thrill. You know, you're like, okay. That's what I would try to do. So, I would try my best to keep, like, I would have my moment of freaking out, and then it's kind of like, okay, are we ready to be a big boy now? Let's do this. So, well, I'm just gonna hit the mic. So with that being said, number 12, sharks have super hearing. Sound waves travel great distances very quickly through water, so sharks can hear things up to 800 feet away.
Wow.
So splashing and all that stuff, like that's now you could make the argument that if the sea is rough enough that you would probably be disguised, but we haven't even gotten into the other things in the ocean that can hurt you and or cause issues like jellyfish, like, and we talked about squid. We talked. There's you know, if you want to get into like, you know, if in certain places that have, you know, like, I don't know if piranha are, you know, dangerous or whatever, like there's always something to be afraid of in the ocean. Now, the only thing that I think I would be okay with, and I've thought about this multiple times, was, I don't know, do you remember that scene in Castaway when Tom Hanks is laying on the raft and it's super late, he's trying to sleep and he wakes up and looks over and a whale comes up very, very gently, and the eye just looks at him and they kind of have a moment. Dude, like whales and dolphins have actually been, or more so dolphins, have been known to actually fight off sharks and protect humans. So it's like, that's like, if I were to find a dolphin, that would be like, oh my God, like, dude, it's like, that would be crazy.
You've got a little bit of security for a while.
Yeah. And and also too, it's like dolphins also sleep with half their brain off. So the other half is on so they can be aware of sharks. Like, it's like they have completely adapted. And if you want to believe it, evolved to the point to where it's like, they are almost like the elite of survivor of like the ocean. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's so cool. That's what I would try to do. I would try my best to be sure that it's like, you know, if I do encounter something where it's like, just don't stop, just keep going, just keep going. That's that, you know, and it's that idea of it's that mentality of like Spider-Man. Like if I stop, I'm going to die. If I stop, I'm going to die. Like you have to like keep pushing yourself. It's that mentality of you keep finding something to survive for. You keep finding something, you think about it where it's like, you'll have that impending doom moment and you're like, no, I want to see my wife again.
Right.
No, I want to see my kid again. No, I want to play my guitar one more time.
You're going to fight. You know? Yeah, you're going to fight through it.
Now, number 13. The prehistoric megalodon shark grew to over 60 feet and had teeth that were 7 inches long. The megalodon. And now I remember exactly what I was going to say before break. You were asking if I would use a VR helmet for space.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, I'm going to answer that question with an example or with, you know, a story. Was that most of my great YouTube discovery and or music moments have happened while I'm pooping.
Okay.
For instance, excuse me, people are probably going to hate this or whatever and all that stuff, but I'm a big Nickelback fan. And one of my favorite moments I had was when I came home from lunch and they posted a new song and it was their song Feed the Machine. Mm-hmm. We were living at our old place and I was up in the bathroom because I always have to come home and poop on lunch. That's one of my things. And that's like that's me time. That's like, I'm making room. I'm comfortable. It's like, I feel satisfied afterwards. I'm like, I'm light as a feather. This is great. And, I just remember listening to it and having that moment to myself. And I was just blaring it on my phone. I was feeling it. I'm like, this is great. I'm like, I love this. It looks cool. Like everything. That happened to me with the interactive trailer for the Meg.
Really?
When I say, but that happened to me, what I mean is that I actually had a panic attack trying to watch it. What it was that it was a 360 degree view of being in the shark cage in the middle of the ocean looking for the Meg. And she just scared the hell out of me because I was thinking that was a shark. Oh my God. So see, this is how irrational I get.
That's funny.
So, oh my God. I'm so
on your couch,
so fucking terrified of the ocean. Like, dude, I actually, after I watched Jaws: The Revenge when I was young, I couldn't shower for almost like a couple of days. Cause it was just, there was water. Like it freaked me out.
Really?
Now, what it is that it said the best thing to do is with headphones. Obviously, you know, because it's the whole 360 experience. Everywhere you move, like the sound moves, the visuals move, obviously. So you can either use your phone or use your finger and guide it through the whole thing. Now, I was like, you know what? I had that kind of pep talk moment with myself. I'm like, this is just on my phone. I'm in my bathroom. I am safe. There are no sharks. There's no water. I'm fine. I threw my headphones on. And once again, I'm sitting on the toilet. I'm doing my thing. And I'm like, okay, let's do this. Because it was on like Facebook or whatever that you clicked it and then it opened up and it was like, all right, full 360 mode. It was actually quite similar to the interactive 360 thing they did for It Chapter 1 that they made, where you go through the sewers and stuff, which was really cool. But the second the camera was submerged in the water, I had to take out my headphones. It was that idea of, and then like, I'm now no longer safe.
Oh, even in a cage.
Even in a cage. Dude, hell no. Hell no. I
was going to ask you.
Absolutely no. I will never, ever in my life go into a shark cage ever. You cannot pay me enough money. I will not do it.
See, I would do that.
No, I cannot do it. It is,
man,
because I watched 47 Meters Down, and ever since then, I just can't do it. Like, that movie does freak me out, and not because of sharks. Do you know why?
No.
My ears. I've had such ear problems that I actually tried to go below 6 feet into the water. I can't do it. Water implodes in my ear. If I were to go 47 meters down, it could actually kill me because of all the ear problems and stuff I've had. I've actually been warned by doctors. They're like, you cannot, like, I wanted to go like cliff jumping and stuff when I was at college. Because like you can actually, like, there's places up in New York where I went and stuff where you can jump off and like you go super deep and stuff, and it's safe, like, you know, all that.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. Because number one,
wait. So you would go cliff?
No, I wanted to. I thought that would be a lot of fun. Like, because the idea, it's just like jumping off of, like, you know, a high dive.
Right, but you realize that that's kind of like a giant lake, right?
Yeah, and that hit me after I realized. I was like, okay, I'm like, so my ears are like, I'm like, I can't even jump into it. And then it hit me. I'm like, what if I go too deep? What if I see something? That's where my mind goes with deep water. Like, it really freaks me out. So, number 14. The megalodon is thought to be the largest shark ever, but there was another fish called the Donkleosteus. Hope I'm saying that right. Which, although not technically a shark, weighed about 4 tons and could have given the megalodon a run for its money.
Wow.
So I think of like a ginormous tuna or something. That's what comes to my mind.
Yeah, definitely.
Number 15. A shark bite can exert about 40,000 pounds per square inch of pressure.
Wow.
For comparison, humans are pretty maxed out at 286 pounds per square inch of what we can bite down on. So that is 40,000 pounds compared to the human, which can only do 286. So think about if you've ever been bitten by, like, you know, somebody's kid or whatever, if they're playing around, or like, you know, if like, you know, I don't know if like there's, yeah, right. Yeah. So it's like, that's how intense their bite is. Cause obviously they got to break bones and rip, you know, what they need to eat.
Right.
Number 16. But some sharks. Oh, sorry. What you thinking? No, good.
Well, no, I guess like seals and things like that. Okay. Yeah. Never mind. I was going to say, why would you need to bite that hard? You're eating sea life. Like, it's just like shrimp and fish. But no, I guess they are eating.
You get into more of the tougher skin stuff. And plus, there's also some sharks that will eat other sharks. So it's like, it depends.
That's why I said, it's like, never mind. That doesn't make sense.
Actually, real quick, did you know that supposedly there has been footage of a real megalodon actually found in the Mariana Trench?
I heard something about that at one point. Yes.
It's we can watch the video after this. I can't do anything until we have a setup where I can like do like what Deep Fat Fried does, where it's like, hey, let's just cast our screen over here. That's when we'll have like a laptop and I'll be able to be like, hey, check out this video, because that's when we can pull up something, you know, and show. But so essentially, what it was that the Mariana Trench is an area in the ocean that is very interesting. The way I've understood it is that it's almost kind of like a layer. It's almost like a puddle at the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah.
But it's a trench. It's this idea that there's this water that's there. So it's almost like from a different time, from like all the years of, like, you know, the sediment and everything else that's, you know, come from it. So they finally got a sub down there to, you know, record stuff, and it's got the lights, it's got everything. They were viewing it, and something got in the way of the camera. Now, nothing down there was in danger. It was not like how the Meg portrayed it, you know, with everything. But there was this dude. It seriously looked like a crusty, old, ginormous, very round-nosed, kind of almost childlike looking great white. And it was huge. And they looked at it and they said they gave like a size comparison of like what they were actually looking at as far as like how far back the camera was. They're like, this thing literally is bigger than any shark that we have ever recorded. As far as or at that point of like on their trek like down. And they basically came to the assumption that they were like, well, I'm like, we obviously can't test it like because we weren't there physically to see it ourselves, but they're very confident that it's actually a megalodon. It was thought to be extinct, and that's the thing is that I am positive, and this is kind of like how I look at like the Loch Ness monster. This is how I look at the Leviathan or like the Kraken or things like that. People are saying that like they say it's like, well, they're monsters. It's like there's no way that those things can exist. It's like, well, no. If you're telling me that the entire ocean has not really been searched and discovered, and you're telling me that there's no way that megalodons exist, I call bullshit. Like that's because you don't know. Well, and it's like because it's understood that they're obviously they haven't been seen near land or near like populations. Which why would
they're
they?
Not. I don't know. I feel like that's something that's not really you're right, in existence anymore because of the fact that you would see them all the time, honestly.
Right. And it's like, if sharks inherently want to keep to themselves, they're not going to show up.
I'm not saying that they didn't exist, but
they absolutely did. But
now, but yeah, I don't know. I don't think sharks are scary. I don't know. I really don't. I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
Oh, wow. Number 16. Some sharks chew their way out of their eggs when they are born, putting their teeth to work before they've even hatched. So even from the primal existence of them, from the moment of birth, they know chew, get through, get through that. It's like it's kind of like that like instinct like we've seen with like the kittens and like with like dogs and stuff. It's like they just know their instinct of like what to do next, and I love that.
That's interesting. Yeah,
See, we got 2 facts left.
2?
Yes. Number 17. Sharks keep lobsters alive. Without sharks, the octopus population would skyrocket and the lobster population would plummet. Since the octopi love to munch on lobsters. Who doesn't?
Oh, shit.
So it's kind of like having a house spider in your house where it's like they get rid of all the other pests. It's like they're good to keep around.
Man.
So yeah, it's like they literally help keep the balance. So you know what?
Then double duty. I'm eating octopus because it's calamari is delicious and I'm saving lobsters to eat. I like sharks. See, dude, I told you I like sharks.
Well, and I look at this the same way that I think I talked about this at one point, but it completely is relevant here. It was an episode of CSI or like in the game of CSI when they were showing a boa constrictor that was found at a crime scene, and they brought it to their chemical guy who did all of the periodic table, but like he figured out like all of the stuff. Like, okay, so this is like chloride, this is this, like of what they find like at crime scenes. And he had to test something to do with this snake, but they needed a picture of it. They brought it into him and they said, okay, this is the species. This is the thing that we found. We need to know if you can find traces of whatever in this, snake, of its like feces or whatever, like how this is going to go. And he looked at it and said, okay, I'll do this for you. And this is the closest you're ever going to bring this into me. He's like, do you understand me? He's like, you are not going to bring this snake into this office. He's like, this is the closest this thing will ever be to me. That's how I view sharks. I will admire them from a distance. Just like how we've talked about tarantulas. I do not want a tarantula near me. I respect them. I don't want them to be harmed. Because especially like when it comes to like sharks with them being definned by like people that like hunt them and stuff like that. Yeah. That's fucked. Like that's like no. Like that's just messed up.
Quick question: what if I bought and or owned, say even before I moved in here? Say I didn't have Thor, but I had like a giant aquarium, and I had a shark.
That's fine.
or a giant, thing, and had my tarantula and scorpions.
The tarantula would definitely never make it into this house for 2 reasons. Me and her. We will never have a tarantula in this house or any other house for 2 reasons. Again, me and her, but also it comes down to tarantulas can escape. Now, that's not because their owner is, irresponsible. It's just like how, sometimes like a hamster gets loose and you're like, God, we got to find him. Where is he?
No, you just make sure all ends are closed and waiting.
Right. And it's number one, if you had a tarantula, that he or she would not be welcome. And it's got nothing to do with us hating animals or anything like that. It's just like, look, dude, I appreciate them from a distance. And that's about it. I do not want to hold one. I do not want to be near one. So nothing.
My tarantula can't come here?
No, your tarantula would not be able to come here.
I mean mine.
Yes, yours can't come here.
I have one, right?
No, you don't.
I do.
No, you don't.
Get the cat.
No, you don't. You don't have a tarantula. No, you don't have a tarantula. If you had a tarantula, I would know. No, I've been to people's houses before that have had them, and I had somebody actually reach in and supposedly grab it and go, "Do you want to see it?" I'm like, dude, I will fucking punch you. I'm like, I don't want to harm you, and I don't want to harm the spider. So
what about a snake?
Oh, I love snakes. Snakes are awesome. I've actually held a boa constrictor before. I love them. They're so cool.
I have briefly thought about getting a snake, but I've also
if you got a snake, you would make Christy really happy. She loves reptiles.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. She is. She has. That is one of the things that I thought was really interesting was that she loves mice and she loves reptiles. She I guess what you do is that if you feed boa constrictors, you can get those little pinky mice, or whatever, and stuff that you can feed them. She doesn't like feeding them to them, but she does love reptiles, because we had Daisy for a while, who was our leopard gecko.
Yeah.
So,
crickets.
Yeah, right. Crickets. Yeah. They would eat crickets and everything, but no, it's just I don't know, man. I will go to aquariums and see those really big aquariums, how you can go and view stuff. I'm okay with doing that.
Yeah.
To me, it's being in the water. It's being, at the mercy of whatever is there, because the earth is terrifying. When you're in the rainforest by yourself, you have tigers, you have lions, lions, tigers, and bears. Oh my, you have, all that whole idea. And when you go to the ocean, you basically take the solitude of land away completely.
You do.
There is nothing to protect you. There is just the water, and you better pray to God nothing notices you.
Yeah,
and that
is true.
That to me is what's terrifying about it. It's the same idea of space, where it's everything in space wants to kill you, or can kill you.
Yeah, I guess. I see your point of it,
but in the same hand too, I can't project my fear and expect somebody else to sympathize with that does not have that phobia. It's because just because I am staying away from the ocean doesn't mean that everybody has to.
Yeah, but here's my same argument is that I can sit there and be like, why are you afraid of this? I don't understand why you're afraid. But I don't understand it.
Yeah.
So that's I get that.
I would love nothing more than to be able to know for a fact that if in some crazy circumstance, if I were able to float in outer space in a pod and just soak it in, I would love to be able to do it in
harm's way.
Because this is the thing.
That's where the shark cages come into play.
Well,
man.
No, have you seen the graphic or the comic thing that they made of sharks, of what sharks are really thinking when they see people in cages?
I've seen certain things, yeah.
Or it's just a human is trapped. Here, I will set you free. it's ripping at the cage. Yeah, so, for all we know, sharks are cuddly. We have no idea.
Exactly.
But no, it just I have never in my life thought to myself, hey, what would be awesome? I want to just float in the middle of the ocean. Hey, what would be awesome? If I was just floating in space with no way to get out. Like it's like that's the stuff that like
no way to get out
right now. But if it's in a controlled environment, like we talked about, like the Enterprise, or like we're like getting super crazy with sci-fi. Which if Elon Musk keeps it up, we're gonna be able to just travel and do whatever we want. You know, so it's like it's just it's
shit's crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts. But no, it's I wish I could, man. I would love to be the guy that has a pet tarantula and that could and would be like, it's like, dude, this is Marley, dude. It's like he's fine. It's like he ain't doing nothing. It's like, it's I would love to be able to have that fearlessness that comes with those things. It's just that it is so crippling. It is something that if I even remotely think about what it would look like for a shark to breach water near me, which is one of the reasons why I fucking hated that Jaws ride at Universal Studios. That Jaws ride scared the hell out of me, mind you.
And
my brother, who I thought I could trust, I was like, "Hey man, I don't want to be anywhere near the shark." He's like, "No problem, man.
No problem.
Sit on the left side of the boat.
I know where he's at."
Yeah, he's never gonna pop up.
Where he was at,
and I should have known because
put him on that side on purpose.
I should have known that because all of the seats were wet on that side. I'm like, why are all these seats wet? You're like, it's just a ride. It'll be fine.
Yep. And so I was like, I remember that. And know what's funny is I'm pretty sure your dad was part of it because I put you on the far side where I knew we specifically sat in the row that got it the most, like where he was right there on you.
Which, looking back, that was the best bang for your buck because you got to see the shark. But dude, like it actually like scared me. I remember pushing up against you and being like, "Get it away from me! Like stop it!" And then you were like, "No, go back!" Like it was just like, oh my god, no!
I did.
So I've been tortured my whole life with water and sharks. So like it just no wonder I'm fucking afraid. So,
I guess I didn't realize how bad it was.
Yeah, it's just at the end of the day, what it comes down to is that I prefer being on land. I prefer to. It's kind of like what Billy Connolly said about flying. Now, I am not afraid of flying. Ironically, you would think that I would be afraid of flying.
I'm
funny. Not. Again, controlled environment, and really flying is the safest way to travel because there's no traffic.
It is a controlled environment to a point, but yes, anyways.
Well, right. And it's because the way that my boss has always put it is that he's like, if I am going on a plane and he's like, when I land like in San Francisco or if I land in Maine or like wherever I'm going, he said, my wife always messages me afterwards if I have not messaged her yet and says, "How was your flight?" And he responds with boring, exactly how I like it.
Yeah.
And it's that idea of that. It's like, you shouldn't even have to think twice about what's happening. That's the pilot's job.
And, I also think that flying is probably easier to do now with technology.
Yeah.
We can all have a smartphone, or even if, say your neighbor next to you in a cramped environment, I don't care. If there's an old lady, an old man, whatever, age doesn't make a difference. Mm-hmm. Say they don't have a smartphone for some reason, and we're on a long ass flight.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what phone you have. You can download Netflix, get Netflix free for a month, and do a free download where you don't need internet and watch at least 155 different TV shows and or movies.
Yeah.
You and the person next to you have free entertainment
for the entire trip.
Now, so having a boring flight means you've gotten to enjoy now.
Yes.
Your show and or movies.
Just like you could say that your time at home is inherently boring. You make it fun.
You do. But that's interesting. But I'm just saying the fact that like technology, especially for flying and or even people that are out on boats, like, that do like deep sea fishing and stuff, like for like, or what is that called? The Deadliest Catch.
Yeah. Oh, dude. And mad respect to those guys that do that. Dude.
Do that.
Oh, hell no.
I would do. You know that mom always, when she watches this, I'm sure she will attest and probably comment underneath here.
Probably, yeah.
She always stated that she is glad we did not live anywhere in like Maine or anywhere like that, because I would do shit like that.
Yeah.
And I would.
Yeah.
I would do that. That would be fucking fun.
I don't care. Scary. It is.
Man,
intense.
that's part of it. It's an adrenaline rush.
I look at it this way, and this is the point I was going to make with flying, was that Billy Connolly, who's one of my absolute favorite just people on the planet, as a comedian and as a person, his very first stand-up routine he ever did in America was on one of the shows that Whoopi Goldberg hosted. And she would bring out like all these different. What
was it called?
It was just called A Night with Billy Connolly. But it was like a half-hour special, and it's super old. If you try to watch it on YouTube, it's got like the VHS tracking on it and stuff. Like it is, but dude, it is absolute fire, hilarious. My old boss John, when I worked at Big Lots, he actually showed it to me on break time at one point. What you doing, baby? Come here, honey. Okay, she'll come if she wants to. She's a cat. No, he was talking about flying and like, how he's flown everywhere across the world, for comedy bits and stuff. And what he said was that he's like, I agree with one of these ancient philosophers or whoever said this. He said, if God wanted us to fly, he would have bought the tickets. And that's how I look at the ocean, man. It's like, hey, if God had intended us to be in the ocean, he would have given us gills. It's like, no, it's sure. Like, and that's kind of how I look at it. And it's like, I try my best to be as safe as possible. So like, it's just going out into something like that is just, it's not safe.
Do you think that limits you on like where you want to go and vacation and like do maybe like bucket list locations?
No.
Does that like curb your, locations where you want to go?
I would make the argument no. And the reason why is, for instance, Benjamin Burnley from Breaking Benjamin, he will not tour out of the United States. He will not do it because he is afraid of death. He is afraid of flying. He is afraid of being on a boat. He actually has stated before, if I'm not mistaken, that he wouldn't even ride in a car if it wasn't absolutely necessary. He is terrified of death. Which is ironic because he's one of the best vocalists and singers or writers of our age, and he plays in front of thousands of people. So it's like he doesn't have stage fright. So that's kind of the irony of it, where it's like he's afraid of everything.
He's probably got better chance of being killed by a fan than he does writing in a. Wow, that's crazy.
That's why that's why their album came out with that was called Phobia. It was literally about like that. That's why he wrote that, because he is terrified of everything, and he has joked about it before. He's like, I'm afraid of everything. He's like that's how I've always been.
So I mean, like, would you be a stereotypical person and be like, yeah, I want to go to Hawaii, but like, would you enjoy Hawaii?
Like, I would. And the reason why is because, number one, the biggest hurdle that you have to get over in that point is the flight, and that's not even because of like
about the water.
The water. No, that's fine, because it's like, I would be on land.
No, I'm talking about going and enjoying the water when you're in Hawaii, like on boats and paddle boats and surfboards and swimming and beaches.
I would stay mainly to land. I honestly, my experience in Hawaii would be to see everything on land that I can. I would go to a mom and pop, diner, and I'd get me some Spam and eggs, and I'd have me some coffee. I would want to meet with the locals. I would want to see the volcanic areas of how everything is like making land. But that's what I would enjoy.
There's also that beauty with everything else. Like when you go to places like that, that's where like you think of the boat trips. Like I said, the paddle boats, the surfboards, the beach trips, the this and that, like anything that has to do with the ocean and or that kind of view. Because that's where you're only going to get it in places like that. So that would you prefer to go somewhere like that, even though you don't enjoy the water that much, or would you prefer to go somewhere like Germany or Ireland or like what I mean? Like, would you? Well, does that curb your location on where you want to go?
I love land
because you don't like water. So like
that's now let me be clear. I can swim in water. I'm kind of like Chris Porter. It's like, if you're drowning, I can save you. Yeah. But in the same hand, it's more so the idea of the bigness and the vastness of where I'm at.
So would you prefer? So if I said, again, I guess take it in somewhere that would be exotic to you that you would want to go. But again, Hawaii or Ireland, where would you go as far as like something
Ireland
of that nature?
Well, and those two ideas, I'd go to Ireland. However, since I beat Death Stranding, I actually have made it a goal for myself that I really want to go to Iceland. Like a lot.
Okay.
For two reasons. One, the landscape of Death Stranding is gorgeous. It is. That's actually what they based the entire game off of, was Iceland. And
I could definitely see that being a visually intriguing vacation.
What would be perfect for me? What I would absolutely love is I would love to have a very specific type of cigar. I'd probably get an Oliva. I would have me a glass of bourbon from Wolf Creek Winery. I would make sure that I had it. I would sit up on just the mountaintop of Iceland and just have me a drink and have me a cigar and just soak it in. This is
good 30 minutes.
There's two ways that you can look at this. You can look at it as nature or God showing off. That is your moment that you get to soak in everything.
Couldn't you argue the same thing with the ocean?
I can, while I'm on the beach.
So now
I would now what I love to do is to sit on the beach and watch the sunset. You couldn't enjoy that like on a boat? No, not in the same way.
Oh man.
That's security. I'm a very big advocate of security. I'm a big advocate of safety. I'm a big advocate of no harm. That's one of the reasons why I don't really like pranks on people that hurt. That's one of the reasons.
I really feel like that this whole Holodome thing had a big effect on you. I really do.
I think it did. And
quick question. Did we have another fact on sharks, or was that?
No, that was it. That was the last one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was the last one. And actually,
no, I didn't know. I didn't know if we were.
No, you're good.
Okay. But no, so I really feel like that may really have had a big effect on you then, to where it just took its toll on you, like you said, over time.
I think, well, and it's crazy too, because like even with space, like we went and saw Armageddon when it was brand new at the IMAX theater. Like, and Dude. It's like, and that didn't freak me out. I loved it.
It's not even the fact of the IMAX theater. Do you remember when, oh man, it probably just because it was kind of space-esque. Do you remember freaking out when me and you were in the front row of the Back to the Future ride?
Yes, and that was because I didn't know what I was getting myself into, and I didn't realize.
Damn! I had to go watch Barney live after
that. From what?
Because of that ride.
Mom attests to this day that because I had such a terrible time, it wasn't even on Back to the Future. That was one, but it was the Alien ride. They had at Disney that actually
that one too.
That one terrified me. You took me over. You took my hand and said, "We're going to go see Barney." You were like, you're upset. I'm going to go make this better.
I know. I did.
And God bless you, by the way.
Hated every second of it. God, that was 2 hours of my life.
You were never going to get back.
I remember being the one that said, we're going to go do this. And then I immediately regretted my decision because of the fact you got so upset. And the Back to the Future, I do remember the Back to the Future, and I couldn't understand why.
I think I thought it was going to be fun, easy, things.
But it was, that
Not
makes
terrifying.
sense that you don't like space. And not that it was space, but it had that feeling of like going through space, if you will, like you were weightless, you were not on the planet, so that makes sense now hearing that. And
by the way, that ride was way ahead of its time. That was
amazing.
Ridiculous. Like, because it felt real. Like when
it did.
It was just, oh my God, like that's what really freaked me out about that. And what's really crazy too is that you can actually find on YouTube all of the original rides at Universal, Epcot, and at Disney, and they talk about the origin of them, how they were created, and they talk about Back to the Future, and they also talk about Jaws.
Oh, sure.
What was really crazy was that they did talk about the Alien ride that I talked about that I freaked out on.
Alien Encounter.
It got removed because it was too intense.
Yes, we got to do it.
Yeah, so we literally got to experience it in the
So you weren't really prime. A big pussy.
No, it's actually because there were tons of people that were like, "Can you please not have this ride available? It should not be at Disney or wherever it is. Like this shouldn't even be here."
I think it was at Epcot.
Either way, I mean, it was. Now I can look back on it now and appreciate it, but in the same hand, it's just, man, that's wild.
Crazy. No, that was just interesting. But yeah, I forgot about that. But yeah, it makes sense now. All of those things, like in one vacation, I fucked with you on all of your fears in like a 2-day span. Funny. Didn't even know.
No, had no idea. These fears have been growing for a long time, but I feel like I slightly conquered them tonight because we did in fact talk about the ocean. We talked
veered
about
off a lot tonight.
This was
good. It was, Shark Week, whatever. But it was good. I liked it.
I may be afraid of the ocean, but I am still an advocate for Shark Week.
Hey, thanks for sticking around this far.
Absolutely. If you've been
Hearies and viewies.
That's right. And now, if you have not done so already, I think we've earned your like and your subscribe at this point.
Hit the fucking subscribe button.
And also
the notification bell. Ding.
Yeah. Now, you also can support us on Patreon as well. That's something else we got to plug too. Is that if you like what we're doing here and you want to support us, that's the best way to do it. As well as Anchor as well. If not, it's not required. Just watch and just enjoy.
Enjoy and comment. Do anything. Let us know what you want to see, hear, anything. Let us know, guys.
Absolutely.
Oh, it's going to be a start over.
Yeah, so it was a long outro. But nevertheless, guys, we will definitely catch you guys on the next one. And next time it should be something way different than sharks. You'll have to find out what it is. It could be cannolis. It could be dragons. It could also be pit bulls. It could be anything we want to talk about.
Just come back.
Yeah, you'll find out.
Come back.
Adios, guys. Hova!